with that down and out of the way, guys, let's move into the main story, which is something which was from last week that we were going to talk about, but I didn't want to skip it because we've been playing it. We've been having a lot of fun with it, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a 2023 asymmetrical survival horror game developed by Sumo Nottingham and published by Gun Interactive. It is based on the 1974 film of the same name. The game features 4 victims attempting to escape the family of cannibals before they catch and kill them. So we've been playing this a lot, and it is a ton of fun. It's getting actually a bunch of great reviews. It's free on the Game Pass. I believe it's anywhere between $40 to $70 if you're getting it from the PS4 and the PS5. Now, I don't really play a lot of asymmetrical survivor horror games. Like in comparison, there's like Dead by Daylight, which is a 1v4. Friday the 13th is a game that I did play, so it'll be the closest comparison I can use to Texas Chainsaw, which was a 1v7, or games like Secret Neighbor, which is a 1v5, and Texas Chainsaw is a 3v4, which I think is really interesting. So before we dive into it, because we got a lot to kind of cover, I wanted to ask you, because you might know more than I would, do you think there's room for a game like this to be coming out when you see that there's already a bunch, because this genre is becoming popular, but at the same time, you see games like Friday the 13th and Resident Evil Resistance like not really make the cut, and then there's also a game that looks really cool, and I know you had your eye on it, was Killer Clown from Outer Space, which is a 3v7.
Something else coming out.
Do you think this game, there's room for it, and it's going to stand tall? In other words, is this a game that we're going to be still talking or playing in 5 years?
I think that for this one, this game's already like a surprise hit. I didn't think this game was going to be good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun. I think what's really going to come down to is the content. Because, like I said before, they only have the rights to the first movie, so there's only kind of so much they could do. I feel like there's already a lot there. I feel like that's going to be the big thing, because the gameplay is great. The gameplay is perfect.
It's got a couple issues here and there, but nothing I would not play it for.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues. Like, it runs great. Like, when I played Friday the 13th, it ran like trash. I stopped playing Dead by Daylight, as fun as it was, because it just took forever to find games. This, you don't even have to have a full lobby, and it doesn't feel like it's too easy or too hard, because even with one killer, you could still decimate like the other team. So I felt like, again, I hope this is a game we're still talking about, and I think it's just going to come down to more content. And I wonder if the pricing might throw some people off, because again, we were talking about this where we're like, okay, we'll try this game out, it's free. I don't know that we would buy this game, and now that I'm playing it, I'm like, I don't know what I was talking about. I would have bought this game.
Yeah,
like, this game's
price, or is it a $40 game?
I would have paid the $40 version for it or something like that for what it is right now. But like over on PlayStation, I wonder, I would really like to see the metrics of how many people bought this versus how many people are playing, on what console and what platform or something like that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm with you. I think it will be. I'm hoping it will be. But I think one of the things that pulls it away from like those other games I'm pointing out is the fact that it has this 3v4, right? Where a lot of these other games is one person playing the bad guy chasing the victims, and I think what it did was it definitely caught my eye, because I'm actually having more fun playing as the villains in a group, or even when you're the victims. It's nice to have the group play instead of being soloed out by yourself. So. Was there anything else you want to talk about its longevity, or do you want to get into its cast and characters?
No, let's go.
All right, so let's start with the cast, guys, and what you have. You have the victims who are trying to escape. There are 5 of them. There are Connie, Anna, Leland, Sunny, and Julie. And then you have the family, which is...
Well, I was saying, who do you play the most?
Oh, no, I have that coming up.
Sorry.
I'm going to pitch it into these questions here for you. All right. The victims, which is Leatherface, Cook, Hitchhiker, Johnny, and Sissy, and then of course you have the grandpa who's on every map as kind of this vital point for the victims or the family when you play them. The victims have these certain stats that are toughness, endurance, strength, proficiency, and stealth, that as you level up you can start boosting those up. And the family has savagery, blood harvesting, and endurance. So the more you play the games, the more you unlock points and skills that you can attach to your character, which really makes them very customizable. You can literally build probably 2 Leatherfaces and go in different directions and being strong in certain aspects of the area. So, and the other cool thing that I really liked is that it's a free respec. A lot of times when you put points into a character build, usually you gotta pay something to get all your points back. They're really letting you kind of experiment. You get a free respec for everybody, and you can really build up the character that you're looking to do. So, actually, we can jump in right now if you want to start there. So, as far as the characters, I play Anna, and then as far as the family, I like playing Johnny.
As for the family, I like playing Leatherface the most, and it's crazy because a lot of people don't like to play him for some reason.
Yeah, because he's required on every level, so somebody has to play Leatherface, which I think is kind of cool, because it'd be weird if you were playing Friday the 13th, and let's say there were 3-4 killers, but nobody's playing Jason Voorhees. So I like that because he's the staple. He is the face of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so it is kind of cool. But yeah, I am noticing that more people are leaning away from him. Why is that? Do you think it's because he starts on the bottom? I mean, they're all fun to play, and that's the cool thing. They're all so different that I understand if you want to lean towards your favorite, but like, there's nothing wrong with it. Melissa really likes playing with Leatherface too.
I love it too, and I wonder maybe if it's too, especially for first timers, and we'll get to some of the layouts. Where he starts, very confusing area. Like, it's so easy to get lost that the people might even escape into, like, another area, and you're still trying to find your way out down there. Like, that's happened to me before when I first started playing. I'm like, dude, I have no clue where I'm at.
I do not know where I'm going.
And then as far as the survivors, I like playing Julie the most just because she has, like, really high stealth, so I feel like I'm just, like, getting everything, like, breaking all the little boxes and stuff, and she just has so much more, whereas the other people, I, like, push X twice, and it's already on the verge of, like, yelling at me.
So how do you like that they are building into, and we'll dive a little more into what they do, like, how do you like the RPG kind of build aspect, where everyone has not only a skill tree, but they also have, like, there's a grandpa point that you can put in at the end that helps out the family. You also have your main ability that has its own skill tree, so there's just a lot of customization, which I think is another appealing thing compared to a Friday the 13th, where if you're just playing the big jock who's strong, that's really it. Where these guys, you can play everybody, we could play the same guy completely different. I think that's a really intriguing aspect of it.
Yeah, I really like that a lot too, because you can play into their strengths, or you can kind of do maybe your own. So that, again, that's why I like playing Julius, because she's stealthy. Whereas when I play some of the other more people who are supposed to be like the tankier ones, I don't know that I have as much fun, because again, I'm like trying to creep around. I'm not trying to like embrace everyone in a fight, but that's just my play style. But I'm watching other people play that aren't afraid just to run at them and try to knock them over and like just break straight through. So I do like, is for both sides, that, you know, there's just completely different ways that you can play. Because even as a killer, you could play completely stealthy. Like, even just not even as a stat wise, like Leatherface, when you have your chainsaw, when you start, you have to rev that thing, but then when you're close to people, they start like panicking, and it'll be on their screen, so it kind of lets you know where he's at, versus you could just be walking around like quietly, and then as soon as you see someone, try to rev it up really quick and then get them, and they have no idea that you're like on top of them unless they heard you or saw you. So that's just like a base gameplay mechanic without doing any points, that already makes it, you know, from being this big, I'm just running around brick shit house, to no, I'm going to be stealthy and like try to wait for you maybe right here as a trap.
Yeah, and the trapping is half the fun, which again, when you're playing with multiple people on a headset, it makes the game so much more fun. Not required, but definitely recommended. So let's start with the victims of what they need to do. The victim's job is to essentially escape from one of 3 locations, but essentially it's 6 maps.
Right.
Because each one of them have a day and a night cycle that they can do. So the 3 maps are the family house, the gas station, and then the slaughterhouse. So and their main job is, you know, you get her out by sneaking around. You do it by building tools and making lockpicks. You need to find health, because essentially you're bleeding out the whole time. So you are slowly dying, so you need to make it out eventually. And then eventually escaping and finding certain paths through the different maps. So the characters and what they kind of do are, so Connie, if you're looking to play here, is more of the tinkerer, and she does a lot of the crafting faster. So like Andrew was saying, when you're building it, would you call it a mini game, I guess? It's, you have to keep hitting X to build these things, but if you do it too fast or too quick, it makes noise, and then noise makes the family, it finds you. So her ability is to do it quicker, and she has an ability called Focus ability, which she can crack locks instantly. Leland is the strongest character of the team. His ability is Lifesaver, where he's able to knock down somebody, but the only person he can't knock down is Leatherface,
because he's huge.
Yeah, so I would for me, he seems more like he's a team player. Like, if you're going to be being with Leland, you need to be running out in a group so you can protect people. And I would say Anna, which is again the person I play, she's kind of like that too. She's a tank where she can take a lot of damage, but she's more of a support role because she can actually heal other characters. Her ability is Pain is Nothing, which means she takes damage reduction. So when she takes falls or she gets hit, she'll take less damage, and she's actually immune to Poison, which is one of Sissy's ability. Sonny, who's quick and he's more heavier in strength and endurance. He has heightened senses where he can hear nearby people, and he can also do some tracking. And then Julie is, you say Julie's your favorite?
Yeah.
She's more into stealth, and her ability is the ultimate escape, which makes her immune to tracking, which Cook and Johnny both have an ability to do so. And then she reduces her stamina when she does the running. So yeah, out of all the characters, I mean, we know who we like to play. How do you like playing? So we should have some footage of Andrew actually playing a game, which I'm pretty sure you won, right?
Yeah.
So how do you like the victims?
I actually really like them. I like the mechanic too that when you're picking your victims, if you, let's say, because it chooses people at random for you, you can choose to trade with other people, and it does like a little like trade request. Someone could choose not to, but more often than not, you're on somebody's person, or you'll get a trade request. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I wanted to be that guy anyways. So I kind of really like that dynamic in case maybe someone's like, I don't want to be this person, and they have mine already, that it's not like, oh, we can't just back out and kind of do it. But
do you think anyone has a weakness? I think they're all pretty fair to play. There's no one on that team where I'm like, oh, I don't want to play her, or I don't want to play him. I'm like, they're all pretty solid, and I like that. The only difference is they just have a different ability.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, I was going to get to that right now, okay. Is that you are supposed to play as a team, but if you play alone, like, you'll see in my gameplay, like, I kind of come up with somebody, like, a little bit, and then I end up on my own, and everyone else is just getting massacred. You could easily like win by yourself. It helps more, and I think that's the funniest thing too. It stresses it out. Teamwork is the best way to win. That's what you're supposed to do. You're playing as a team. You can have 4 people there, but as soon as one killer shows up, everyone scatters
to the wind. Cockroaches in the light, baby.
Every man for himself. You're in a party with everyone, and that's the hardest part too. Is like you kind of can't see everyone is, so you're trying to. I'm telling Craig, I'm like, come this way. He's like, I don't know which way this way is. I'm like, well, I don't know where you're looking. If you're looking at the house, it's to the right. He's like, well, which house?
Yeah, because it is a lot at first, and it's. I was playing with Geno the other day. I'm like, and we were getting going, and it's a lot at first. It's kind of overwhelming, especially if you're cycling through 3 different maps, and now you have to work your way from the bottom to the top, and then figure out how to escape because everyone has like 2 or 3 different paths. So it is a lot. And at first, I'm like, dude, I'm just lost. I don't know where I'm going. But the more you play, the more you're like, and I would recommend, and we'll get into the family right now, is that start with the family, because instead of trying to escape and running around and being on the defensive, as the family, you can openly look around the maps, and you can start walking around. So even if you aren't technically hunting, you can be like, okay, where does this path lead? So when I play the victims, I know that, oh, this door will take me out here. So you think that's a smart strategy to start with the family? Because I started with the victims, and I couldn't get out of that cellar forever.
Yeah, when you play as the victims or as Leatherface, you start in the cellar underneath always, and it's pretty much just like this Vietnam style tunnel that you're like running through, and you have no clue where anything is. You kind of have it at the beginning, it shows you a couple exits, but after that they kind of go away, and so you're just trying to find everything. And it all I love that it looks similar, and it's like being lost, and it's frustrating, but it makes complete sense, especially for what this is. Like, I could totally see this, like, because it's a little bit like that in the movie, but not as like crazy under there. I'm like, dude, I could totally see this, like, as that vision.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that when you're doing it, you need to be stealthy, because again, the sound is what's going to trigger not only the grandpa to wake up and point you out, but everybody has kind of like, the family has like these abilities to listen, and when you're making noise and things like that, it'll hit red. So when you are making your tools, you gotta be slow, unless you're just trying to bang them out. But even walking around the house, there's like these bone things hanging from doors. If you run through them,
like a chime.
It's gonna make a noise. If you're running by these chickens, it's gonna do it. So was there anything else on the victims you wanted to point out? Okay, so moving into the family, the cool thing about them is everyone kind of starts in these separate locations. Leatherface will always be in the bottom, which is cool because the way the match always starts, out of the 4 victims, because there's 5 to select from, he's always killing whoever wasn't selected, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So the family is going to be Leatherface, which is easily, obviously, the tank, and his main stat is savagery. His ability is essentially just the big ripping chainsaw, which we learned today that if you keep it overheated, because you got to keep it revved or it'll fizz out, but if you keep it heated, it'll actually do more damage, and his job is to break all the stuff that the victims can get over or slide through that not the family members can't. But you love playing Leatherface.
Yeah, I love playing Leatherface. I like, too, that's like another thing is, I don't feel like anyone's overpowered, because if you do keep it too heated, which that's what he does his most damage, and you overheat, then the chainsaw breaks down, then you got to sit there and like try to rev it up again. And I do want to say I like that a lot. I don't find any of I say it like minigames, any of like the things like the lock picking, the finding the tools, the revving, or using anything or getting, I don't find any of that stuff like annoying. I'm like, this is just stupid. It makes no sense.
Or overbearing, yeah. It seems, I mean, you got the pressure to do it, but it's like, but once you get it done and no one's around, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, there are other things that I guess I didn't mention with the victims. They are the only ones that can pretty much maneuver throughout the whole map in its entirety. So not only will you find doors that you have to unlock, but there will be like lockers and car trunks that you can hide in. And also, what would you call them? Like slits in walls?
Yeah, like slits
they can slide through. So
loading areas, modern day loading areas.
So as we get into the family, they can't go everywhere. So, like, for instance, Leatherface, he can't slide through any of those things. So what he can do is he can stick his chainsaw in there as they're running away. So, but then you have someone like Cook, who was from the movie. His main stat is Savagery, and he has an ability. His ability is called Seek, where he kind of pauses and listens, and he kind of can hear. So the average person, when you're checking, you can hear a certain noise if they're making it. He kind of amplifies that, right? So he has a better like sonar ability. The Hitchhiker is Endurance for his. He can actually set traps. So I believe you have to actually go. He's the only one I haven't played because I play with Deandra, and she loves playing with him.
Yeah,
so
he sets the little bone traps.
Yeah, so you got to find these bones and make traps. So essentially you're going to be putting them by exits and stuff like that. And it kind of like, it's like a bear trap. Like you got to break out of it. And then Johnny, who's the one I play, his Savagery and Endurance, he has an ability called Hunt, where when he turns it on, if you've been around where a victim's been, you'll see footprints light up, and then you can inspect them, and it'll start taking you down their path. I've been finding so many people that are like hiding in bushes, dude, and I'm just coming up and smashing on them. And last but not least is Sissy, who I know a lot of people are having fun with, who her main ability is blood harvesting. Her ability is Bane, which she can actually spray like a poison spit or something. And because I just played with her last night, and then she can actually lace items. So when you're a victim running around, you can find like, I wouldn't call them healing potions, but it'd be like medicine to like heal you. Like, and then she can lace it with poison. So if they take it and use it, it'll damage their health. So between the 5 enemies, man, I mean, again, all fun to play. Very different though. So like for instance, the Hitchhiker and Sissy are the only ones that can move through those little areas. But it's like, everyone has their own style of gameplay, and again, I think that's the most appealing, is that they're all different but equally fun.
Yeah, I'd say even too for someone like Sissy who does like not as much damage as some of the others does. If she hits you with like her little scalpel because she's got her poison on it, it messes up your controls to where they're all wonky, and so like up is down and stuff. So you start running all weird and like because you're trying to like adjust to how your controllers go. Like it's just another dynamic that makes it so much fun.
Yeah, the other one I wanted to play because I've been playing a lot with Johnny because I really like the hunting ability, but I think if I wanted to play it too, Cook looks pretty cool because he can actually put on like master locks on doors and make them extra, and he starts off with like 3 or 4. But as the family, what you mainly want to do is make sure that you're shutting doors behind you, make sure that you're locking them. As the game starts, you've got like power generators and things like that are keeping traps and doors locked. The victims are trying to mess those up. You want to make sure that you're looping around and keeping those contained and safe. But the other main thing I've got to point out is, because it annoys me when people don't do it, there's going to be blood bags. And even when you kill an enemy or stab him, you'll collect blood. You've got to go feed the grandfather.
He's the most important.
Yeah, because he's like a big sonar device for you. So the more you go up and feed him and you can get him up to level 5, he's going to start pinpointing these guys for you. So
only if they're moving, so it's fair, but that's the thing.
Except for level 5. Level 5, I think he lights everybody up.
Yeah, level 5, he lights you up no matter what. But I was just laughing a minute ago because you are right about checking the doors and everything and making sure your traps are good. That when we were playing the other day, my nephew electrified a gate that was open for the exit because he was looking for someone, and then shut the gate behind him, but he couldn't get back out and essentially locked himself on the other side because the gate was electrified, and so he was stuck in one of the exits that nobody could go out of now, but we were just trying to go a different way instead.
So, I mean, when you're comparing the victims to the family, who do you like playing better? Do you think anyone has... I think all the characters on each side of the field are even. Do you think anyone has a bigger chance over the other one? Do you think it's easier to kill or survive, and which side do you like playing more?
I honestly think that they're equally as fun, especially too. Like
there's been games where we don't kill anybody, and there's been games where we kill everybody. So,
like, if you watch I'm sure he has my footage up. I don't know how long it'll go through, but like, I don't get caught at all by anybody. And this was just my first game on when I got home. I was just like, all right, let me throw something together so that way we can have
I was like, give daddy a little something.
And he was listening to me play the whole time. Now, boom, just got out. And this is the first time I even used this exit because again, there's multiple exits. I remember this one because I'd never seen it before, even as a killer. And I'll say that's I had never seen it before, and then as a killer, I randomly stumbled upon a door. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this was back here.
What map was it, you know?
The slaughterhouse,
That's easily the most confusing one.
Yeah, when you come up out of ground, I always go to the left or I go straight. I didn't realize to the far right there's like another door with like another junkyard and like an electrified fence, and that's where I ended up making my way out.
I wish there was a free play mode where I could just go there and just explore the maps, but I understand why they want you to just be. What is there?
Oh no! I was just saying. Do you have any negatives about the game?
Yeah, well, let's do. You want to do negatives first or pros?
Let's do negatives because I like this game a lot. That I'd rather end on the pros because the negatives are more gripes or little things for me. I feel
so. My biggest one, and I'm sure I have an image up of it, is that it's got a crossplay issue with limitations. All the next gen ones can play with each other, but if you're playing on the PS4 or you're playing on the Xbox One, they won't play with the Series X and or the PS5. So, for example, when me and D'Andre and Melissa were playing, Melissa at her house has a Series S and an X, and we were all jumping on it. I kept getting this error. I'm like, am I not doing this right? Like, why won't this connect? And when we looked it up, it's like, oh, the old ones can't play, which is a gripe, but it's not a big deal because I got a feeling this is something that can and will be fixed. I just don't know how day one. I just don't know how that's still a thing.
We'll tackle this on a later episode, but that is going to end up being a bigger thing is now that a lot of people can do that because this isn't the only game that does that. There's a new Boruto game coming out that you can turn off crossplay between like Xbox One X and like I think it's even the S and below because then when you're playing the fighting game with each other, you'll get different frames per second, which as you're fighting, that makes like a big deal. So I wonder if that's
Did you see this? Did I show you this chart? That showed you all the things that it's gonna, like what it can be played with and what it can't be?
Oh, no. I think I maybe seen it before, but I was gonna say, I wonder if that's the thing is maybe it's like an FPS issue or something like that, because then maybe that makes it unfair for how fast or fast you can move or something.
I wasn't thinking about that, because I was talking with Geno yesterday, I'm like, it's weird that I can play Halo, which is easily a bigger, more crazier game going on, but I can't play this. But yeah, if you're looking at it in terms of the frame rate and the speed, I guess that would be a pretty decent advantage if somebody's going just X amount faster.
And that's why I said that this is going to be like a big thing going forward, because I've already been reading a couple other games where it's like you can only do it on this version and not this version, or crossplay with this one but not the PS5 but not on the PS4.
And then my final con would be that sometimes when you're trying to hit a door, the X button, like, it just won't line up, so you're wasting time. And like when you go to the grandpa and you're just trying to get to him and hit X, like some of the button prompts
you have to like run around him a few times,
a little off. So that would probably be my two biggest issues.
I think my gripe, and we talked about this before, is but then again, maybe that would take away from the game a little bit. But I do wish there was a little bit more of a free roam mode, just so you could practice. Because a lot of this stuff, it actually doesn't tell you. And I felt like maybe that's too, because when we were all playing, we were playing as a group. And some of us had played more than others. I think I'd played a little bit more than you. Yeah. So when we were playing, I'm explaining how certain things work or don't work. But I also had that stuff explained to me by my brothers that had already been playing. And actually, if you have enough people, one of the best ways to start playing, even though we didn't take it easy on each other, is I had 3 of my brothers on one team, and then it was like me and like 2 friends and another brother as the other team. And so it was a lot easier trying to figure stuff out that way. But my other gripe, and it's not a bad one, I wish there was a different ending, because the way every match ends is it's just Leatherface doing obviously his thing. But it's like, even if you lose, even though I guess in the movie he does lose, he does that anyways because the chick still gets away. It's like, I wish there was a different ending for like whether you're winning as the survivor or you're losing as whatever, and then different versions of that. Like, it doesn't always have to be Leatherface out there. They could have had the chick maybe doing
on the
something.
truck laughing. You know what I mean? Like, if the more victims get away, then it should be her on the way. But if they win, it should be him or something.
Or even some of the other killers. It could be Cook in the kitchen, maybe like cooking up some parts or something, something like that or whatever. I think that would add a little bit more. It's just after every game, seeing that thing, I'm like, all right, come on, like get on to the next one, because it's the same thing every time now.
As far as any other cons?
I don't. Like I said, it's been small for me, and I haven't had any problems. And that's the only one that I could think of that you really nailed is, and that's the biggest one, too, is feeding Grandpa. Sometimes you got to run around him a few times, and I'm mashing X. I'm like, come on, old man, eat.
It'd be like unavailable. And so as far as the pro goes, because I know you said it doesn't really tell you a lot, but there is a tutorial thing that it's just a lot. So if you want to learn everything, there is something in there that will explain all the characters, all the strengths, all of this. It's just a lot, but I like that it's there. So if you do need to go and read that and watch it, it's there. The other thing I thought was cool, I don't know if you've checked it out yet, is there's a behind-the-scenes kind of thing where you can unlock pictures from the old movie. So there's like
I haven't gone through that yet.
Yeah, there's an unlockable section, and it'll show you old still frames and things like that. But then my biggest thing is that I just love the custom building of this thing. I love that you get every ability, and then you can also have, I don't know if you saw this, but you can actually make different builds. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you can
save like custom. I've seen that.
So you don't have to do it every time. But yeah, overall, man, this game is awesome. And I since Andrew and Melissa play it, when they get locked into a game, they get locked into a game, and they're having a blast. So I don't see me not playing this game for the near future.
Yeah, no, I'm having so much fun. And like I said, even though there's 3 maps, it's technically like 6. I'm not bored of them. Like I still get lost. I have no clue where I'm going sometimes, and it's just so much fun. Do you have any? I guess if we're closing, do you have any helpful hints? Maybe 1 or 2 you want to throw out there?
The main thing I would say is start as we said earlier. Start as the family. Explore the map, because the more you're going to know the map, it's just because like when Andrew was saying go this way, it's the first time I was on that map, I'm like, I don't know where that way is. So the more you can figure that stuff out, do it. Also, don't sleep on your attribute points. The more you play the game, you're going to be getting 4, 5, or 6 instantly. Start building up your characters, because like I have an ability right now that gives my grandpa perk, is that the whole family's melee goes up. So like start using those things, because you're going to notice that there is a difference between, your savagery being a little bit faster and things like that. So I would say don't sit on those. If you want to look up a build, but feel free to start doing it, because you can just respec it. You know what I mean? It's not going to cost you anything to start experimenting. So I would say play with the family, learn the map, and then experiment with the different builds. My
biggest tip goes both ways, and it's always close the door behind you. Check the door. More importantly, like today in that game that I played, I felt like they didn't know where I was, because I broke through a door. It didn't go off or anything because I did it right. I get through and I shut it behind me, so they would never even think that I made it out of the second area, because there's nothing that tells you this person escaped to the third one unless you do it really loud or like mess up. And so when I got to the end, they had no clue I was really on the verge of escaping. And as a killer too, sometimes I found people like that too. I'm running around and I'm like, dude, I cannot find anyone right here. They have to be beyond this. So I'll go open the door, I shut it behind me, make sure it's locked, and I'll keep going. And then I'll end up finding them. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you got back here. There's got to be another way. But I'll catch them at the exit. So if you can't, that's the biggest thing, is always check your doors as a survivor if you can, to cover your tracks. Close them, because that really throws a lot of people off, especially too at the beginning. If you get through really fast, they're still looking in the second or the bottom areas looking for you.
Yeah, so guys, that is our long review for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. I would say check it out. It is
highly recommend.
It's worth the price, even if you're not into those games. I'm not really into those games. I'm having a blast. So let us know what you think. If you've already been playing it, let us know who you play and what side you like better. So